Welcome to part 4 of our guide to interpreting CEESAT reliability criteria for use in CEEDER, the CE database of evidence reviews. My name is Andrew Pullin and I'm presenting this series of short videos. In part 4, I will be covering the interpretation of criterion 4, screening studies for eligibility. Transparent and replicable decisions on which studies are eligible for inclusion in a review are key to building confidence in the review findings. This section concentrates on three aspects: the eligibility criteria, the conduct and reporting of consistency of decisions, and the reporting of each step in the inclusion-exclusion process. So let's look first at eligibility criteria and whether they are clearly defined. It's important that decisions on which studies are included or excluded are consistent within the review, and the criteria are transparent and replicable. Why does this matter? Well, if the eligibility criteria are unclear or unreported, the review is at greater risk of a number of biases that are often collectively termed selection bias. For example, poorly defined eligibility criteria can lead to selection bias caused by biased interpretation of eligibility by an individual screener, or inconsistent interpretation among multiple screeners. For this assessment then, a gold rating is given if eligibility criteria are precisely defined and expressly related to each key element of the question, and criteria are consistent between a priori protocol and review, or differences are fully explained. A green rating is given if eligibility criteria are precisely defined and expressly related to each key element of the question, as in gold, but there is no a priori protocol. For an amber rating, the questions, scope, and objectives of the review might be stated such that the type of primary research studies to be included are broadly apparent, but the review does not explicitly identify criteria for each key element of the question. Or, on the other hand, some eligibility criteria are defined, but they are either incomplete or have no clear relationship to the review question. This may be because the question is poorly defined in itself. A red rating is given if no eligibility criteria are provided at all. Even when eligibility criteria are well defined, screeners can interpret eligibility differently and therefore risk selection bias. The biases at risk are the same as 4.1, but are reduced by using multiple screeners, checking and discussing consistency of decisions, and resolving differences of interpretation. Okay, so a gold rating is awarded if the eligibility criteria are independently applied by more than one reviewer to all of the screened articles, and consistency of eligibility decisions among reviewers is measured and reported. Green is awarded if the eligibility criteria are independently applied by more than one reviewer, but to only a sample of the screened articles. But this sampling is justified by the large number of articles retrieved in the search. And consistency of eligibility decisions among reviewers is measured and reported. Amber is awarded if the eligibility criteria are applied by more than one reviewer to a sample of the screened articles, but reviewer independence is uncertain or absent, and/or consistency of eligibility decisions may have been examined, but a measure is not reported. Red is awarded if the number of reviewers is not reported, or only one reviewer applied the criteria at any stage, or there were two or more reviewers but consistency of decisions was not tested, or no eligibility criteria were provided. The final aspect of screening asks if eligibility decisions are transparently reported. Full reporting of the results of screening is important for replicability, and providing details of which studies have been included and excluded is important for independent scrutiny and assessment of the risk of selection bias. Again, the biases at risk are the same as 4.1 and 4.2, but the full reporting of results of the screening process enables a user to question the decisions and check that they agree with the author's interpretation of eligibility. Because this assessment relies on full reporting, there are quite a few details to consider, so here goes. Gold is awarded if the total number of articles found by the search is presented, and the number of articles excluded at each stage of the screening process is provided, and reasons for exclusion of each article screened at full text, and a list of included studies are provided. Green is awarded if the total number of articles found by the searcher and numbers excluded at each stage of the screening process is reported, but some details are missing, and reasons for exclusion of each article considered at full text and a list of included studies are both provided. So quite similar, but not full reporting, but the most important aspects are reported. Amber is awarded if the total number of articles found by the search and numbers excluded during the screening process are reported or at least inferable, although some important aspects are missing, such as reasons for exclusion at full text, but importantly, a list of included studies is provided. Red is awarded if either the total number of articles found is not reported or a list of included studies is not provided. So thanks for listening to this presentation. I hope it was helpful in gaining an understanding of the importance of a transparent and replicable screening process for increasing reliability of review findings to inform your decision making. If you have any questions or feedback, please use this email or visit the CEEDER website.